Settled comfortably on the picnic blanket, Victoria and Logan enjoyed the afternoon sunshine, sharing strawberries, grapes, and easy conversation. For the first time in a long time, Victoria was at peace. As they laughed and talked, Logan found himself opening up more and more. He shared pieces of his journey, the lessons God had taught him through disappointment, and how faith carried him through seasons when he didn't understand what God was doing. Then Logan looked at Victoria and smiled. "Can I ask you something?" Victoria nodded. "Is there anything you think I should know? Anything about you that you'd want me to understand now rather than later?" Victoria smiled, realizing that Logan wasn't asking out of suspicion. He was asking because he genuinely wanted to know her. The conversation became deeper. They talked about their hopes, their fears, their past mistakes, the things they were still praying for. Neither one was trying to impress the other. They were simply learning who the other person really was. And with every passing moment, they found themselves growing more comfortable in each other's presence. "You know," Victoria smiled as she lifted a strawberry and shook her head, "if my sink hadn't overflowed that day, we probably wouldn't be sitting here right now." Logan laughed. "You're right. Out of all the ways God could have brought us together, he used a plumbing problem." "A very expensive plumbing problem," Victoria teased. "By the way, I need a refund." "It wasn't that expensive," Logan replied with a grin. They both laughed as they remembered that first meeting. At the time, neither of them had any idea that a simple service call would become the beginning of something so meaningful. Victoria looked out across the park before turning back at him. "It's amazing how God works. Sometimes we're frustrated because something goes wrong, but later we realize it was a part of his plan all along." Logan nodded. "That's because we only see the problem. God sees the purpose." Victoria sat quietly for a moment, reflecting on everything that had happened over the past several months: the promotion, the challenges, the investigation, the friendships, and now this peaceful afternoon sitting beside someone who had become such an important part of her life. "You know," she said softly, "I prayed for God to send the right people into my life. I just didn't expect him to send a plumber." Logan laughed so hard he nearly dropped the grape he was holding. "A plumber who prays," he corrected. "A plumber who prays," Victoria agreed. Their laughter filled the air as they continued sharing memories of that first visit. What had started as an overflowing sink had become a testimony of God's faithfulness. Both of them knew that their journey had not been an accident. God had been directing their steps from the very beginning, arranging details neither of them could have understood at the time. As they sat together enjoying the beautiful afternoon, they found themselves grateful not only for where they were, but for every step that had brought them there. Logan smiled as he looked down at Victoria, lying comfortably on the blanket. The afternoon sun filtered through the trees, and for a moment neither of them spoke. "You know something?" Logan said. "What?" Victoria answered. "I used to pray for my wife." Victoria laughed. "Used to?" "I didn't know you had a wife," Victoria said. "Well, the woman that God would have sent me." "Well, I still do pray for her. I just mean long before I ever met her." Victoria raised an eyebrow. "Her? Huh." Logan grinned. "See, that's what I'm talking about. I prayed for a woman who loved God more than she loved attention, someone who knew how to pray when things got hard, someone honest, someone kind, someone who could admit when she was wrong. Victoria pointed at him. That last one sounds personal. It is, Logan said with a laugh. I also prayed for someone who wasn't impressed by money, titles, or status, someone who understood purpose. Victoria listened quietly as Logan continued. I prayed for peace, not perfection. Peace. I wanted someone who would help me get closer to God, not farther away. Victoria's smile softened. That's a pretty serious prayer. It was. He took a sip from his glass before continuing. What about you? What did you pray for? Victoria stared up at the sky for a moment. I prayed for consistency. Consistency? She nodded. Someone who says what they mean and mean what they say. Someone who shows up. Someone who doesn't disappear when life gets complicated. Logan nodded thoughtfully. I can understand that. I pray for a man who would pray with me, not just tell me he'd pray for me. A man who could lead without controlling. Someone who would respect me, protect my heart, and encourage my purpose. Logan couldn't stop smiling. Those are good prayers. Victoria turned her head and looked at him. Why are you smiling like that? Because it sounded like our prayer lists have a lot in common. Victoria immediately sat up and pointed at him. Whoa, buddy. Logan laughed. What? You're moving kind of fast here. I didn't say anything. You didn't have to. That look on your face and some of those words said plenty. They both laughed. I'm just saying, Logan replied, holding his hands up to surrender. Sometimes God answers prayers in ways we don't expect. Victoria shook her head, smiling. Maybe, but let's stay right here for now. And where's that? She leaned back onto the blanket, at a picnic, eating fruit, enjoying the day. One step at a time. Logan smiled. One step at a time it is. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They simply enjoyed the peace of the afternoon, enjoying one another's company and all that was happening with both of them. Victoria continued talking, completely unaware that someone was approaching from across the park. Logan's smile slowly faded as his eyes shifted past her. What? Victoria asked, noticing the change in his expression. Logan tilted his head slightly. It looks like we have a visitor. Victoria laughed. A visitor? An angry visitor. She rolled her eyes. You're imagining things. No, Logan replied. I'm pretty sure this guy is headed directly towards us. Victoria barely glanced up before returning her attention to the conversation. Well, whoever he is, he can wait. Logan chuckled. I don't think he looks like the waiting type. Before Victoria could respond, a voice echoed across the picnic area. Victoria! The tone was sharp, enough to make them both stop talking. Victoria immediately recognized the voice. Her smile disappeared. Logan looked from Victoria to the man approaching in the distance. He's calling you. Victoria slowly sat up. Unfortunately, Logan raised an eyebrow. So you know him? Victoria let out a long sigh. Yes, Logan. She never took her eyes off of the approaching figure. I know him. Logan glanced back toward the man, and judging by the look on his face, he knows exactly where he wants to be. The peaceful afternoon suddenly didn't feel so quite peaceful anymore. Victoria shot to her feet so quickly that the blanket beneath her shifted. Nash, what in God's name are you doing here? She demanded. How did you find me? Why are you here? Nash stared at her, equally confused. What am I doing here? He asked. What are you doing here? Victoria looked at him in disbelief. Didn't you understand what I told you last night and this morning? I told you to leave me alone. Do not call me, do not contact me, do not come looking for me. Now it was Logan's turn to look confused. His expression changed immediately. The color drained from Victoria's face as she realized what she had just said. For a moment, nobody spoke. Logan looked from Victoria to Nash and then back again. Wait a minute, he said slowly. Hold on. He stood to his feet. So you are saying you two know each other? Victoria swallowed hard. Logan, let me explain. Logan held up his hand. No, that's not what I'm asking. He pointed between them. You guys spoke last night and this morning? Nash frowned. Yes. Victoria immediately turned toward Logan. Logan, let me explain. But Logan shook his head. I don't want to hear anything. Logan, no, I don't want to know. This is not my business. Victoria's heart sank. Logan began gathering containers from the picnic blanket. This is exactly what I don't want, he said. This is exactly what I don't want to be a part of. Nash looked from Logan to Victoria, trying to understand what was happening. Logan continued packing. I came out here for strawberries, sandwiches, and a peaceful afternoon. He closed one of the containers and placed it into the basket. Somehow we've ended up in the middle of some kind of a mystery. Logan, please, Victoria started, but Logan wasn't listening. Meanwhile, Nash and Victoria continued talking over one another. Nash, I told you to leave me alone, and I told you I just wanted to talk. There is nothing left to discuss. Then why didn't you just tell me that face to face? Logan rubbed his forehead. The peaceful afternoon he had planned was officially over. Logan had heard enough. Without saying another word, he continued to pack everything away. The beautiful charcuterie board that he had spent time preparing disappeared piece by piece into the basket. The cheeses were wrapped, the grapes were gathered, the strawberries were packed back into their containers, the paninis were stacked neatly, even the cheesecakes that he had bought for dessert were packed away carefully. In the meantime, Victoria and Nash continued going back and forth. Nash, I don't understand why you're here. Because you stopped answering me. I called and I realized that I had been blocked. I told you to leave me alone, and I wanted to know why. There doesn't have to be a reason. There's always a reason, Victoria. Logan remained silent. He closed another container and placed it in the basket. Nash, this is inappropriate. Inappropriate? I care about you. And I never asked you to. That statement hit Nash harder than he expected. For a moment, he simply stared at her. You never asked me to care? No. The hurt on Nash's face was obvious. Still, Logan said nothing. The basket was almost packed. The blanket that had been filled with laughter just a few minutes earlier now felt heavy with tension. Victoria crossed her arms. Nash, what exactly did you expect to happen when you showed up here? I expected honesty, and you are getting honesty. No, Nash replied. What I'm getting is distance. Logan folded the last napkin and placed it in the basket. The lid closed with a snap. Neither Victoria or Nash noticed. They were too busy arguing. Logan stood up, brushed his hands together, and looked out across the park. He picked up his blanket and began to head towards his vehicle. And still, Victoria and Nash continued their heated exchange, neither realizing that Logan was preparing to walk away from the entire situation. By the time Victoria looked around, Logan was gone. The picnic basket was gone, the blanket was gone, the food was gone, and just like that, so was the peaceful afternoon they had been enjoying. Victoria turned and looked in the direction Logan walked. "Logan," she called out. There was no response. "Logan, where are you going?" Still nothing. Her shoulders dropped as reality set in. Then she slowly turned back toward Nash. The disappointment on her face was impossible to miss. "You just messed everything up." Nash looked like he didn't really care. "Victoria, I know." She held her hand up. "Don't. Let me explain." "There is absolutely nothing left for you to explain." Nash stared at her. All he had wanted was answers. Instead, he had ruined the one thing she had been looking forward to. "If I ever see you again or hear from you again," Victoria said firmly, "don't approach me, don't call me, don't text me, don't come looking for me. Victoria." "Nash, I'm done." For the first time since arriving at the park, Nash was speechless. Victoria shook her head and walked away. Nash watched as she crossed the grass toward her car. He wanted to stop her. He wanted to say something, anything, but nothing came out. Victoria never looked back. She opened her car door, got inside, and drove away, leaving Nash standing alone in the middle of the park, surrounded by silence. The afternoon was over, and so, perhaps, was any chance he had left. Before you go, we want to hear from you. Do you think Logan was right to walk away, or should he have stayed and listened to what Victoria had to say? Do you think Victoria handled the situation properly when Nash showed up uninvited? And does Nash have the right to ask for closure, or should he have respected Victoria's wishes and stayed away? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And the big question: who do you think owes who an apology after what happened in the park? Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do so. And again, thanks for watching.